Hello and welcome to the Nijigasaki Anime Solo Ranking Review. I'm Cullen.
And I'm Honey Panda Bunny.
So we've finished the anime, we've seen all the songs, and now we've got our own individual ranks. We've combined them together, and this is our collective ranking for the anime solo songs.
So I loved all the girls on this, and it was a really hard one again, like the last album that we had a ranking for. But I also really enjoyed all of these, and I felt like they all offered something a little bit new. And it was just a really nice variety here, and I did find it super difficult. And as I was going along, I was pretty sure what I knew was going to be my number one. But then as time went on and I listened to the songs as the full versions came out, I found myself falling in love with different ones that completely surprised me by the end.
Naturally, there will be some bias because of the music videos, but for me, when I was going about ranking this was mostly based off the music just itself, and obviously the full versions. And I did find that from music video to the full versions, there was some stuff that I hadn't noticed, or that I'd found a new appreciation for when I went into my ranking. So now, we'll begin. At number 10, we have Awakening Promise by Uehara Ayumu. This is probably a little unfair because as the time of recording, we still do not have the full version of this song yet, so if you want, you can consider this unofficially 10.
I really enjoyed Awakening Promise. It felt really strong and almost theatrical to a sense. It gave me a feeling a bit like a teen movie when I was hearing it. I absolutely loved it, and I felt like the beat was upbeat, but it would change further on and allow for Ayumu to mix it up a bit. It was super fun, but alas, it wasn't as strong as Ayumu's other song for me, but it still was a really good one and won me over.
So I will say that even though we only have this shortened version at the moment, neither of us actually put this at 10. We both individually put this at 9 on our rankings. It's just unfortunately due to where we ranked the other songs, this got bumped down unfortunately. And for me, I will say that it's a fine song, but my only issue really is that I just don't find it stands out well with the rest of the catalogue of her songs, and especially compared to Dream With You, which I unfortunately am going to keep comparing it to. I think it's borrowing a lot from a lot of Ayumu's earlier songs, so it's struggling to stand out in that regard. And I will say that I really like Ayumu's voice is really good. In the context of the anime, I like that it's come full circle in a way. It feels like in this song, she's come to terms with herself. And in the performance, it feels like she's become whole. And it's such a very wholesome and warm performance. An issue I do have though, is that I'm not a massive fan of the instrumental. It's very repetitive, it doesn't have any high highs, and it doesn't really build to anything. I wouldn't describe it as droning, but it feels very cookie cutter. And I thought it was maybe a bit too loud, especially compared to Ayumu's performance. I just don't think it has the right balance with her instrumental. In the context of the anime, I think it works perfectly fine, but for personal enjoyment, I think I prefer every other Ayumu song. At number 9, we have Dive by Yuki Setsuna. So I feel like I'm partly copying what I said in my Just Believe for her Like It Love It song, and I do partly feel like a broken record at this point with Setsuna's songs. Dive for me has the same issues as her previous song does, is that it feels again that they're trying to recapture the magic of chase. Again, this has the same themes about seeking to go forward and seize your future. Setsuna's performances are always excellent, but again it's just another similar sounding song and I'm a bit numb to it. I do actually really like the instrumental here, even if I do think it's a bit of a generic rock track, and Setsuna works well with it. But I usually find Setsuna's songs quite catchy. Even the Like It Love It will stick in my head, but I feel that this one just doesn't have the same quality that her earlier songs did.
I feel like Dive was a great song for Setsuna, and the guitar at the beginning really goes well with Setsuna's voice, and once again we have her high notes that she hits while belting out with that amazing voice that she has. But this was the lowest on my list. Not because I disliked it, but it felt very familiar for Setsuna. It's not that it was bad, it's just that I had trouble ordering them, and this just so happened to come last because of this.
So as well, I had this ranked a little bit higher at 8. So I did actually do prefer this to Like It Love It, but it's not exactly a high regard for me to say that when I considered Like It or Love It to be my least favourite on the Just Believe track. It does have its advantages. I do like the dive. It does feel like you're plunging down with Setsuna when she sings, which is very remarkable, and that is a credit to the song.
It does feel very shonen as usual, like that usual upbeatness that she has, which is nice.
At number 8, we have La Bella Patria by Emma Verde.
So this song felt like the perfect blend of evergreen and kyo sunagao yo. All throughout the song, it felt like a rush of friendliness, and I loved it so very much. I find myself feeling really warm by this song. I remember the first time I listened to it, I felt my heart well up with joy, and I was amazed that it did that. I feel like Emma's voice is getting stronger and stronger. Unfortunately, Ao no Yuta was such a powerful song that I feel like it's going to be really difficult to beat. But however, both songs have really different themes and really good in their own way.
I was a little overhyped going into the song because I really like the introduction. I think it's one of my favourites. It feels so bouncy, unique and playful. It feels like they're playing on Emma's heritage. It builds up perfectly, but then the tempo cuts to a much slowed down, similar to Eon no Uta, and then it speeds up to something a bit more standard. And I would describe the first 30 seconds as tonal whiplash for me. I felt I was a little bit disappointed from the song, to be honestly, and all of Emma's prior songs had always been steeped in folklore touch, and when the song finally settles, it feels like it chooses to be a much more standard, stock idol song. Emma's voice is great, but this just feels like a bit of a missed opportunity for me. I do really like her Aeon no Uta. As I said, it was my number 2 on the Just Believe one, but here I was hoping for something a bit more upbeat, and it's just not what I got in the end. Also, I think the theme of the song as well is it feels more written in line for a Yumu when it's talking about dreams coming true, but it's just framed with the homeland imagery. It just feels a bit lazy. So this is why I put this at my number 10 at the bottom. And for me, Emma deserves better. At number 7, we have Poppin' Up by Nakasu Kasumi. When we went into the review of this song, I was a little bit down on it, mostly stemming from the visuals. However, just focusing on the song, I've actually come to find a lot of appreciation from it. First, the pop deco is very much the theme of this song, from her costume to the music video, but the instrumental just captures it perfectly. It's very bombastic at the start and catchy, and it just feels cutesy, fashionable that's just bulbed into this very nice song. Kasumi's great here. I still prefer nearly all of her other songs apart from Wonderland, but that just shows the level of depth that she has for me. I was also completely wrong about the theme. If anything, this song is actually even more direct about her personal feelings. It's just wrapped up in a sweets and a pretty bow. I always said that Kasumi in her songs feel like she's giving it all due to her insecurities, and this song encapsulates that for me. The crying, trying. It's catchy, sad, and heartwarming at the same time. Make my way, she generally believes that cuteness is the most powerful force, and damn is she going to prove it to you. I feel that if Margaret is her opening up to her true feelings in a somber tone, this is Kasumi being more honest with herself while also portraying it through her cute side. It feels like she's trying to merge the two aspects of her character to becoming whole, and that is this song in a nutshell.
Popping Up was, well, what can I say, it was really cute, and it was a bundle of cuteness from all the cute little sounds that she did in the backup vocals, and I do feel like Kasumi's backup vocals here and the little extra bits are really what makes the songs for me. It blends really well with its fun and upbeat and energeticness for me. I especially like the way she pronounces selfie in the second half. I just thought it was really cute and I wanted to mention that. But yeah, it was a really good song, but it wasn't really high on my list, not because it was bad, but again, it was just really hard to rank these, and I do have to say I prefer some of her other songs over this one, so.
At number 6, we have Psycho Heart by Miyashita Ai.
I love this one so much. It breaks my heart that Ai is so low on this list, but I genuinely love this one and I couldn't bring myself to make it any higher on my own personal list either. Not because it was bad, but because the other songs just beat it for me, sadly. I love the DDR aesthetic to the song and the fastness without feeling like a rush. The song felt like this big ball of energy and it always keeps me in high spirits listening to it. It's really a perfect song for Ai. It encapsulates everything that she wishes for and everything that she is, and when she literally says the line, "I want to be the sun," it really does feel like she is that bright sun in the sky for me.
So this is another song, when I listened to it from the anime, I think I misread it initially. I originally saw it as more of the same for Ai, but I think it actually does a good job of differentiating itself. It's got that bursting with warm excitement, as Honey mentioned, of all her previous songs, but I do like that it feels like she's slowed down here a bit, which I actually appreciate because it does help differentiate it from her earlier songs. The first half feels more reined in by Ai, but I like how even though she's reining it in, it feels like just under the surface, she's just barely constraining the energy. You can hear it in the voice. Her voice provider did an amazing job there. It leads nicely into the more traditional tempo of her songs in the later half, and it's something that while Kasumi and Ai's songs have similar themes to their previous ones, the difference is it feels like they're always experimenting with their range. And while Ai's last two songs I haven't ranked particularly highly, they always stick in my mind for being something new rather than playing it safe. And Ai's songs tend to be the ones that are the most earworm. They're always the ones that get stuck in your head. They're always the ones that you can easily recall. It's more of the same sound, and that always leaves an impression on me. At number 5 we have Dream With You by Uehara Ayumu. When I listen to this song for the full version, I think it is a little bit different from the anime, because at the start Ayumu is singing and there's no music and then the music cuts in, while in the full version it seems that the music's there from the start, and it's something that for me was a slight niggle because I actually did prefer the anime's version of it just a little bit, but this is still like a really good song, and I think it is my favourite Ayumu song. Compared to Awakening Promise, it feels a lot more unique and memorable. I've always liked Ayumu is able to combine like the fluffiness and playfulness of her songs. The instrumentals are always sparkling and in a way magical girl-esque, but I like how it emphasises with her voice, which always feels like it has this quiet strength that's just hiding under the surface. And this song is very personal due to its connection to the audience. In the anime she's singing it to you, and in a way from her performance it feels like she's reaching out from the screen to you when she's singing, and I think it's just an absolutely amazing performance.
I absolutely love Dream With You. It's now my new favourite Yumu song, and I tend to find myself humming it quite often. It's a song that's really good and kind of very similar to her other ones, but I do feel like it offers something really new to the table. It's really enjoyable and it's super easy to listen to. It's not like I'm ever fighting myself when I'm listening to it and thinking, oh, I have to skip it because it's a bit too much for me today. Ayumu's voice is so easygoing and soft and friendly. It's such a her song, but it's so exciting, yet it's also calming at the same time, so I always find it really easy to listen to and I really love hearing it every time I do, and that's why I think I prefer it a bit more to Awakening Promise.
And going on to your idea of that calmness is how when I listen to it feels like floating. It's a really weird way of putting it, but it's like you're going with the flow, and Ayumu's performance feels like it's flowing as well. At number 4 we have Solitude Rain by Osaka Shizuku.
This song was a strange one for me because I didn't think much of it when I first listened to it. It was a solid song, but I immediately knew that it wasn't going to beat out Audrey for me, which is a really big shame because it's still such an amazing song. The more I listened to it, the more I could hear this passion and determination in her voice, and then on top of that, I do like how the main portion and the chorus differentiate in tone, that it feels like a fresh song all the way through listening to it. It's super nice, and it gives across that theatrical playfulness of Shizuku that we didn't get to see in Audrey because it was more of a low melancholy song, whereas this one's a bit more, she sounds fierce in it and you can really hear it in the song.
So for me, Shizuku's songs have always been a bit hit or miss. I really like Audrey, but I wasn't high on her other two songs. But this one, I think, goes into that Audrey category. In a way, it does give me off those Audrey vibes. I will say that it's again another thing where going into the song when I watched it in the anime, it was one that I thought I enjoyed it, but I didn't think much else of it. But hearing the full version, I do definitely like it a lot more. And I really like it when the songs in the anime encapsulate their development from the anime perfectly, and that's felt in her lyrics here, where it talks about her being true to herself essentially, and it feels really more honest here than when others do it. And the idea of being who you are, and then especially in the final line, which is the hello this is me in English, which is really good. And I really like that in this one, it's similar to Audrey, that she's burning with those feelings. When she's singing, she's overflowing with the emotions and they're just pouring out, similar to with her motif of the rain, when she talks about how the rain is starting soon. And I really like this as an insert song, because I remember when I watched the anime and she's on stage, the song's perfect there, but then when she's on her Sentai action in the costume and the song's playing in the background, it's perfect there as well. I actually think that this would probably fit in nearly any scene, whether it's like a slow scene, a high action scene. I think this song would just fit any scene. It's such a versatile song, and it obviously fits the actor, performer. At number 3, we have Vivid World by Asaka Karin. So this is the song that I was most changed after listening to the full version, because in the anime I thought the song was mostly okay, but here I was blown away. I wasn't feeling her last two songs, but this one was back to more what I loved about Starlight. It feels very nightclub aesthetic, especially in the instrumentals, which is amazing. I actually thought that when I first heard it I would be annoyed by it, but it very quickly grew on me. It feels flashy in the music and in the performance, which fits Karin to a T. There's a bit of auto-tuning here, but I think it works well. Again, the lyrics are telling the story of her episode, along with her becoming a new self. And there's also a very nice reference to her being lost, but it plays into the song, and that's really well written. And I think as well that this is the most Nijigasaki song, because the song is about colours and a vivid world, and rainbows being the main motif of the club. So it's cool that Karin is the one that's so linked to that.
I actually never thought this was going to be my own personal number 2 on my list, but after listening to it I found myself singing and dancing to it around so often. It left a really memorable and catchy mark that no matter how much I try and shake it, I just continue to love this song. Though I will say the first time I listened to it, the full version, there was like an eagle noise that plays a couple times. It felt a little bit detaching at first, but eventually as I continued to listen to the song, it started to blend a bit, and it made me realise that eagle has been connotised to be like a free spirit and be open and be able to be bold and be brand new, and that kind of works really well with Karin's.
And she does have a similar bird motif because her previous song was called Firebird. And for the random eagle sounds, I do think that I don't hate it, but I also don't like it, because they only really appear towards the end of the song. I think it only crops up twice, so it feels very unnecessary, their introduction. I actually would have liked them to have been incorporated into the song more, and then I would have had more of an impact on it. But for now, I could take or leave it.
I mean, yeah, it was like when I was saying to you when I first finished watching it, and I was like, oh, did you hear the eagle noises too?
At number 2, we have Butterfly by Konoe Kanata.
This song is such a great one, and I really thought it was going to be my personal number 1. However, the song was cute and upbeat and catchy, but I just felt like it didn't have that same pop in the second half for me. Not that it's still bad, I loved the song, and especially that opening. I could just imagine myself listening to it all the time, and I still do now. It's such a good one, but it just didn't keep that passion right at the beginning all the way to the end for me. But it still was my number 3 on my list, so...
So I had this at number 2, so this was my second favourite, and Kanata's songs tend to always be an assault on the ears, but in a good way. Butterfly is no different. It's an amazing song, and it's incredible that after 4 songs by Kanata, they're all able to sound incredibly distinct. Now, after her first song, which I was a little down on, I think she's been on a roll, and this continues with Butterfly. Butterfly is an incredibly unique track. It's less a mashup of instrumentals like Marching Star was, but here we have something a bit more enchanting and sparkling. It's more upbeat than her prior songs, I feel, and I think this is the first song of her catalogue that isn't steeped in her sleep motif. She feels very awake in this song, and I think that's to do with the subject matter, which is clearly based on her relationship with Haruka, her sister. And though through the lyrics in the song, you could also interpret this as a love song as well, with the holding hands and stuff like that. But obviously in the context of her singing it, it's very clear about sisterly love. I feel that this explains the more focused performance, as she's trying to make it clear to her sister her feelings, and that's shown in her singing. There's still the sleepy, alluring quality to her voice, but I feel like it leads into something a bit more energetic than we've ever seen before. I can actually feel how happy Kanata is when she's singing this song. It feels like getting her feelings out have re-energized her, and the English in the song is really good as well, and it blends very nicely with the song. At number 1, we have Tsunagaru Connect by Tenji Rena. Previously with Rena's songs, specifically her first 2, I always felt that she was at war with her instrumentals. They always felt like they overpowered her, and this became an issue for me. However, starting with Analog Heart, it feels they're starting to get the right balance, and this becomes even more apparent to me with Tsunagaru Connect. Rena is in complete harmony here, and it is glorious. Rena has always had the right components, she has unique instrumentals, she's always had a cute voice, and now it feels like the parts are correctly assembled. I also partly want to compare this with Setsuna's songs, because Rena's themes are actually very repetitive. It's always about trying to reconnect, it's always about trying to change herself, and while I would prefer something a little bit different, I think what works for Rena's songs is that they are always coated in new pain. Rena tends to have an unsureness to her voice due to her nature, but in this song it feels like she's a lot more confident, and I like that in the anime she's always felt more assertive, which is what she wanted to do, and I get the same vibe from the song. It feels like she's still relying on the computer jargon to convey her feelings, but I like that you have the background vocals that try to paint it out more clearly as to what her feelings are. It's a really nice touch, and I feel that it fits her anime portrayal quite nicely.
From the moment I heard this song, I knew I was going to love it. This song jumped to be my favourite song for Rena instantly. The song was just so much fun, everything about it, all the small little puns towards the computers, showing a bit more of her side, and also this electric beat that kept going throughout. This felt like Rena at her best so far for me. It was a number one for sure, with how deep the song is and how cute Rena's voice sounds. The part that's been living rent-free in my head is the line that's the backup vocals at the beginning, that's no more hiding, changing. I don't know why, but it keeps getting stuck in my head, and I think that's why this is my number one. It resonates so deeply with me.
So a slight criticism I do actually have for the song, and in a way it just emphasises how good Rena's instrumentals are, is this is, for the background track, it's probably my least favourite of the Rena songs, even though it's still actually really good. But in context, however, that is made up in spades by Chiemi's absolutely amazing performance here as Rena. It feels like she really wanted to prove herself with this song, and for me she knocked it out of the park. This and Analog Heart has really risen her in my eyes, and I can't wait to see what she does going forward. And that's it for our Nijigasaki Anime Solo rankings. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What were your overall final thoughts?
So I really enjoyed this, like these collections of songs. Like I said at the beginning, it really did feel like they all offered something a little bit new. Even if they had similar themes, the way that the songs sounded were much more unique for me this time round. And it was so hard to really rank all of these. And like I said, they kept jumping around. Like Butterfly for me, I really did think was going to be my number one. But after listening to them and hearing these full versions, it just changed how I looked on all these songs and how much I loved them and appreciated them.
My feelings definitely did change from the music videos to listening to the full versions, and I'm very interested to hear Awakening Promise because that's the only song we were unable to hear the full version. We've only got the anime one at the moment, and the catalogue of songs is very impressive. I'm for the most part really happy with their introductions. I would like to see more exploration of some of the themes with some of the characters, but what we got here was actually really solid. So thank you very much for listening to us rank the anime solo songs.
Thank you very much.
And goodbye.
Bye bye.